Hello and welcome back to my channel, Craft Time by Casey. I am Casey, and today these are the memory wire bracelets that I will be making, and I just absolutely love the way that they came out. Most of the components that I used to make these bracelets came from Didi's Deluxe Bead Box for the month of December 2022. If you are interested in checking out Didi's Deluxe Bead Box, I highly recommend it, and I will have all of the information in the description box below, including my code. That code is Casey15. That's KASI15. So if you are curious to see how these bracelets came about, then stay tuned. All right, let's get right into it. I'm going to start off with the tools that I will be using. I have 2 sets of chain nose pliers, 1 set of round nose pliers, and another tool that I will be using. These are my heavy duty wire cutters. Now, I purchased these at Home Depot. These are industrial cutters, and I recommend, highly, strongly recommend using industrial cutters as opposed to your normal wire cutters, because memory wire will damage your normal jewelry cutters. They are not made to cut the industrial wire. I'm also using some memory wire, some silver memory wire. And I want to mention my tool set. I absolutely love and recommend this tool set. It is called the Casual Comfort tool set, and it is very high quality, very well made. It feels very sturdy. And the biggest thing for me, it has adult size grips. A lot of times in the store, you will find tools like these right here, and for whatever reason, the grips will be much smaller, and I definitely know that they work for some people, but when I found these tools, I have to say, I just can't imagine using anything else. As the name suggests, they are just so comfortable. So I will have these linked down below, along with everything else that I use in the video that did not come from the bead box. And even if you don't get this tool set, I just recommend investing in your tools. In my opinion, it is just so worth it. I will also link down below the opening video that I did for Didi's Deluxe Bead Box, and it will have a detailed description of every bead that I use that came from the bead box. And for my own stash, I'm going to be using these 4mm bicones, these 4mm pearls, and these 6mm rondelles. I am also going to be using 2 of the charms that came from my own stash. And then I have 2 6mm jump rings. So I want to pull in the one that I already made off camera. And of course, I know this was in the intro to the video, but these beads also came from Didi's Deluxe Bead Box. And I wanted to make sure that I used so many of these beads that I just think are absolutely beautiful. And this will give you an idea of the bracelet that we are creating in the video. And of course, I have 2 more of the charms, also from my own stash. The way that I make a memory wire bracelet, I'm going to start with where the end of the wire is. And when you come back to that point, that is 1 time of round. So I'm going to want 5 different times of round for my bracelet. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have where I start, and it goes around to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. So I'm going to hold this one. And I don't want to hold this with tension on it because you can kind of manipulate where it goes. So I want to kind of let that go so it's at its relaxed point. And of course, I am not an expert. I am just a hobbyist. So this is how I do it. Now, I also know that this tip here, I'm going to roll it back like the tip on this one here that comes back to a roll. You see a little loop there on the end. I'm going to be rolling that one back. So I want to give myself just a little bit of leeway, and I'm going to make it a little bit longer so that it's not lined up directly. Because if you line it up directly when you cut it, This one's going to be rolled back this way. And then of course here at the end, it's going to be rolled back the other way to close it off. So you're going to have a nice big gap. So you want it to overlap when you cut it initially. It's better to have a little bit too much than not enough. So I'm going to be using my industrial cutters. And again, the end of the wire is right there. And I'm going to be overlapping a little bit. I'm going to go in with my industrial cutters and cut just like that. So the way I make a memory wire bracelet, I'm going to find the end. So there's the end for one side, and there's the end for the other, right there. All right, so I'm going to fold this end back to make a little loop at the end. So I want the loop to be relatively small, so I'm going to go to towards the end of my round nose pliers, as close to the end as I can, and I'm going to get a pretty good grip on it, and I'm going to roll it back. And just kind of readjust and roll it back some more. Just like that. You give yourself a little loop there on the end. And it's a stopper for the beads, and then of course that will be where we add the charm at the end. So now to add the beads, of course we don't want to go ahead and loop this side because we do have to have an entry point. So for this first one, I'm going to start with a 4mm pearl and a rondelle, 4mm pearl, rondelle. And this is going to be the back and forth for the first strand. So at the bottom, I want to put on enough of these to go all the way around one time. And we will meet back up when we have the first one all the way around. All right, so here is that bottom layer. We have one full time around with just the back and forth of the 4mm pearl and the white rondelle. All right, so the next time around is going to be one of the 8mm frosted beads, tan rondelle, 4mm bicone, tan rondelle, frosted bead. So this is the pattern that we're going to repeat over and over again for the next full time around, but we are not doubling up on the frosted bead. So we're not going to start here again with another frosted bead. The next bead will be that tan rondelle. And we will meet up again when we have this pattern on the next full time around. All right, so as we can see, we have that second one almost lined up exact. So we have that first time around going right into that second strand. And now the third strand and the focal strand. The focal strand will be using these 8mm wood jasper beads and then 4mm pearls. So we have a 4mm pearl, wood jasper, 4mm pearl, wood jasper. And it's going to be a simple back and forth all the way around. All right, so there is my next strand, that simple back and forth with that wood look jasper bead. So there are the three strands. I think they look so pretty together. So now for these last two, this one right here, like I said, is that center focal. So for the last two strands, we're going to do these exact two strands in reverse. So the next strand is going to be the frosted strand with those three in the middle, the two rondelles and the bicone. And then the outer strand is going to be this one, the rondelle and the 4mm pearl. So I'm going to put those two on there and we will meet back up to show how to close it off. All right, so I now have all 5 strands on here. And of course, like I said, you can see that center focal strand with those wood jasper beads, and they're actually glass beads, so it's a wood look jasper bead. And with those frosted beads, I just think this is a beautiful combination. So this last one on top here, you can see goes all the way around. Now we are going to close it off. So it's important to have all of the beads pushed down. So I'm pulling on this here and pushing the beads down so there's no gaps and there's nothing where the beads are going to be moving on here. They're pushed into this loop here at the bottom. So now I have way too much up here to create a loop, so I need to cut this way down. So once again, I'm going to get my industrial cutters, and I can see where I have the bead pushed all the way back, and I'm gonna go in here where it's just a little bit above and cut. So now I'm going to go in with my round nose pliers at the back of it, and I'm going to go back around and roll it back. And as you can see there was a very small portion there where it's doubled up just a hair, and that is perfectly okay. Still gives you a very small loop there at the end so that your beginning and end are almost exactly lined up, just a little bit off, and I think that looks so nice. So now that the bracelet itself is done, we are now going to be adding charms to our loops. So this is very simple, very quick. Take your 6mm jump ring, open it, put on one loop, and then add one of your charms. Take the other jump ring, open, connect it to the other loop, and connect another charm. Close that jump ring. All right. So now we have our two charms on either end connected, and there is the final piece. I'm gonna bring in the other one that I made earlier. Again, the charms on there. I think these are so pretty. All right, so I'm gonna set these up on my display so we can see them better. All right, so here they are. Here are the final pieces, and I am super happy with how they came out. I normally like to stack bracelets. Very rarely do I ever wear just one bracelet. So anytime I can make a multi-strand bracelet or a memory wire stackable bracelet like this, to me it's just so convenient because they're already coordinated, they're already matching, and I just think these are beautiful. And of course, adding the charms just gives it that little bit of extra touch that makes it look so nice. So once again, if you are interested in checking out Didi's Deluxe Bead Box, I will have all of the information in the description box below. I highly encourage you to check it out. And if you do, definitely use my code. Again, that code is KASI15. That is KASI15. That code will give you 15% off up to 90% of their website. So if you like this video and you want to see other videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and give me a like. Leave a comment. I absolutely love reading my comments. You guys are so kind, and I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.